Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on the 2013 precursor OVA to the currently unfolding anime series as of the time of this recording, Death Parade, simply titled Death Billiards. This is something I never heard of, and actually only just got the heads up on in the comments on my episode 1 review of Death Parade, and this was apparently an OVA brought about by the 2012 Young Animator Training Project in Japan, whereby I guess they were giving content creators and such like that so much money or ability to, accrue funds for their creative pursuits, and thus out of this we have the Death Parade, anime series. Now, I found it very interesting that this was one of 4 chosen OVAs, if you will, to garner 38 million yen or $480,000 in U.S. funds, and as I say, out of this OVA, we were gifted, if you will, this really solid anime. At least that's how I feel about it after the first episode, and after this especially, which very much tells the same kind of story as the first episode of the series proper. You're basically dealing with Decim, who is this bartender in this sort of otherworldly bar situation, and we open with this old, decrepit man, coming down the elevator, much as the first episode of the series began. And essentially, he walks up to the bar, and there's this young guy sitting there, and they exchange some words. The young guy gives him a cigarette, he has a drink, and everything like that. What's interesting is we actually have a few of the other characters, on display in this OVA that we have yet to see in the anime proper as of the time of this recording. Only one episode in, we've only seen, hints of them toward the end of the first episode, but this brunette, female character who is tending bar behind, or beside, I should say, Decim, and basically they are outlining the similar kind of rules to the first episode of the anime series, where essentially they're saying you have to play a game, your life is going to be on the line, and very interestingly, of course, you have Decim issuing the rules, and his sidekick, his female companion, is counting them off, that kind of thing. And it all revolves once again around roulette. That is how the game they will have to play is going to be chosen. And as the title suggests, Death Billiards, it's going to be a game of pool, 8-ball specifically. And so you have these two characters pitted together, and what I find absolutely fascinating, much as I say, I'm going to keep referring back to the first episode proper of the series that followed this OVA precursor, you have the situation set up where there's more to the story going on that becomes revealed every step of the way as these two characters are playing essentially this game of billiards. In this case, much like the darts in the first episode, the billiard balls themselves, contained body parts and parts of the anatomy and such like that would signify a connection to the physicality, the physical form of the two players. And as the balls are getting, knocked off essentially the table or the tabletop, it's affecting these two, people playing. And it's very interesting because it doesn't seem like the old man is being overly affected at all. I mean, he is pretty much, very old. He's been there, done that. His body's probably failing anyway, so he probably wouldn't notice it necessarily. But then there are other aspects. We find out that in his physical form, as the revelations unfold, and this is spoiler territory, so in case you haven't seen the OVA, you might want to click off the video. It is on YouTube as of current, but I also found it on NWAnime.com to be able to watch, and you might want to actually come back after you do. But in any case, if you're going to be sticking with me, suffice to say, we find out, per the revelatory aspects of this old guy's former life, if you will, that he was in fact vegetative, and when they're in this bar-like environment, they don't have any memory of what came before, what led them there. So it's very much unfolding as this billiard game goes on, where at first the young guy is actually kicking the old guy's ass in the game, but then the old guy, turns out he, through flashbacks, we find out he was an award-winning, pool shark kind of situation, and he's very effective. He had a full, long life. We see that he was a martial artist and he was good with sticks and batons and such like that, which comes into play as the younger guy starts to realize, when the balls are pocketed that have his eyesight and his ears and his stomach and stuff, he's starting to feel pain. He's holding his gut. His eyes are starting to go blurry. So he's starting to realize this is legit. This is, something screwy is happening here. And if by the end my heart or my brain gets pocketed, my life is going to end. So he ends up sort of accosting Decim once again to say, you know, what the hell is going on here? You know, are we going to die if we lose the game and all this stuff? And there's kind of some interplay in the dialogue that nothing's being answered wholeheartedly, but we do see that this guy is not necessarily, you know, he thinks he went to visit his girlfriend and they had a fight and all this stuff, and we see a flashback that involves him having cheated on his girlfriend or his fiance, whatever she is, and you definitely get the idea, like I was thinking, oh God, maybe he murdered his girlfriend or something like that, you know, in the aftermath. But in fact, the tables are turned, and this is one element I won't spoil in the video, but it was something very unexpected that happened to him to lead him to this otherworldly bar-like realm where he had to kind of fend for his soul. It was once again a game of, you know, sort of saving your own soul. And so this old guy, you know, the young guy's losing it and the old guy's winning this game every step of the way. And as this young guy loses it, he basically attacks the old guy with the pool cue he's carrying. And this is where the baton work and the martial arts of the old man in his youth comes into play. He's fending off the attacks and everything like that. But the young guy overpowers him, essentially, and thinks he's offed him. You know, he's like crashed him up against this fish tank full of jellyfish. It crashes. You have Decim and his lady sidekick kind of like, you know, face palm and like, oh, geez, this is getting a little out of hand. And but this young guy is rightfully terrified. He's only 30, he says, and he, you know, his life was cut short. So what else can he do but freak out? This old man, probably in his 80s or 90s, whatever it is, has had his full life, and this young guy feels like, I can't let my life be taken. I have so much more to do. I want to go back to my girlfriend and apologize for the fight and all this stuff. And so it becomes tragic when you get to the reveal of what actually led this young guy to be here in the first place, to have to, you know, have that redemption of the soul. There's a point where, very intriguingly, unlike what we've seen in the first episode of the series proper thus far, I'm wondering if this is going to be a learning curve in the actual series proper. But we have Decim, you know, they kind of string this guy up, and they're telling him he has to get back in the elevators. This is where everything is decided. Can't give you any answers as to what the decision is, as far as, you know, what the next step is beyond this game of billiards and everything, playing for your life or your soul, whatever you want to call it. And at this point, this guy just breaks down. He's having a nervous breakdown. And Decim goes kind of beyond his own role in this whole game. I really can't delve too deeply in the description without just spoiling it outright, but suffice to say, Decim goes beyond what his role is meant to be, and he embraces this young man. And he uses a term similar or along the lines of, you can finally come to rest. You no longer need to be just agitated and crazy and everything like that. And this calms him. You know, the guy embraces him back, and it's just really mind-bendingly, mind-twistingly intriguing beyond reproach. I can see why this particular OVA was chosen to create a whole anime series based on it, because as of the first episode, as of this OVA, it is absolutely captivating. On the edge of my seat I was watching this episode, just trying to understand what led these men to be here, what led them to have to play this game of billiards with their so-called lives on the line, or as I say, the redemption of the soul and all this stuff. And there are some words exchanged by the old man with Decim that we don't hear toward the end of the episode, and even his lady sidekick later asks, what did the old man say to you? And he, you know, toyingly tells her, no, I can't tell you that. She also wonders what their eventual fates were. Can't tell you that either. And it's kind of left for the viewer to decide who goes up and who goes down, put it that way. And this OVA just rocked my world, just like the first episode of the series proper. And I can't wait to see more of stories along these lines where things are not as they seem, and these characters are pitted together, whether they come in at the same time and they're familiar with each other, as was in the first episode, or like in this OVA, they're, you know, two people who never met each other, and they both have to, you know, fend the other off for the sake of their soul, for the sake of their lives, in this just crazy, trippy, you know, playing a game for your life kind of framework. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely freaking awesome. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen the OVA Death Billiards, the precursor or prequel to Death Parade, what you thought of it. As I say, you can find it on YouTube and or I'm sure other anime streaming sites and such like that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and that it finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.